that you brought to bear, that they felt, that produced that change that's been good for these kids. Another thing that you've done that I'm happy to report, many of you already know about this, but the practice had been since May that when they were looking for a sponsor for these kids, all but 24 of these kids, 2,700 kids in these tents behind us, all but 24 have a sponsor in the United States, a family member who's willing to take them. But as you know, Health and Human Services is not doing just a background check on the sponsor. They're doing a background check on every single person in the sponsor's household. They are then sharing that information with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. More than 100 people have been rounded up and deported as a result of that, meaning that fewer people are willing to come forward, especially from mixed immigration status families, to help these kids, some of whom have been here for months, some all the way back since summer, which in my opinion is tantamount to torture. To not know where your parents are, when you'll be able to be with your family, to be a stranger in a strange land, in a tent in the middle of the desert, in a kind of purgatory or limbo, not knowing when or if you're going to see your family again, or you're going to get out, or you're going to go back to the country from which you fled in the first place. We're effectively keeping those kids there with this policy. In the last couple of weeks, the administration, because of you, has changed part of this policy. They will now no longer do background checks on every single member in the sponsor's household. It'll just be the primary sponsor. However, as good as that is, and as much as that will speed up the reunification of these kids with their families, they are still sharing that primary sponsor's information with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So the next thing that we need to ask for is that we stop sharing this information with ICE, that we put the well-being and welfare of these kids first before anything else and get them placed. Some good news to share. I just spoke with the CEO of BCFS, who is the contractor that operates this temporary shelter. Temporary in quotes. Been up more than 6 months. You and I, as the American taxpayer, have spent $144 million so far to keep this up. We could have spent $0 if we would just have reunited those kids with their families. He tells me that as of Tuesday, they have no longer accepted children here. Now, somebody just said that we've got to fact check this. Josh said he saw a bus coming in yesterday. So I want to make sure that we hold them accountable, don't take their word for it. But he's told HHS and ORR that he will accept no more children. He has more than 300 children who are ready to go. He says his only limitation right now is finding flights during the Christmas season. He said if I could help broadcast the message, give up your seat on flights leaving El Paso so we can get those kids to their families. If not, he says it will happen in January. He says along the current trajectory, and if he's able to hold strong and not accept any more children, by mid-January, Tornillo will shut down. That is because of you, everyone who's been out here. Now listen, let's not take his word for it. Let's not take my word for it. Let's continue to show up here. Let's continue to get behind Josh and others who've been here every single day so that we can witness with our own eyes, testify in our own words back to our fellow Americans what is happening here. But the fact that you are here is producing the change that these kids so desperately need. So my family who's here with me right now, on behalf of the congressional district, the 750,000 people that I represent in El Paso, I just want to say thank you to each one of you who is helping to make this possible, to let you know that we will be back here again and again until Tornillo closes down. So thank you, and thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you for what you're doing.
Before you go, Beto, I would really like to beg all of you to really engage in the democratic process at full throttle, okay? I have written, Beto. I went to your town hall in November and I asked you about Tornillo, and don't forget about this, don't forget about us, and here you are, and I'm very appreciative that you're here, and it gives me faith. It gives me faith in the democratic process, and that getting a hold of your congressmen, getting hold of your senators, getting a hold of any representative in your district. It matters. And not just you doing it, recruiting your friends, your neighbors, tell them, call, write, send them a video saying, hey, this needs to end. Yes. So shut it down.